What is going on, guys? It is your boy Ollie Footy, and we're back with another World Cup recap. What a day of World Cup action! Groups E and Group F in action today. I'm only going to cover the three games before midnight. I'm going to put that Japan and Tunisia game in tomorrow's recap. But yeah, man, what a bunch of matches today! Very interesting storylines, a lot of goals, except for Ecuador and Curacao, unfortunately. But yeah, let's just hop into this, man. And let's start at the beginning with the Dutch. I mean, wow. Wow. Shout out to the Netherlands. I got to hold my hands up. I did not think the Dutch were going to be moving like this. I mean, look, Sweden, we look at the talent on that team: Jokeres, Isak, and Ayari, Alanga. And the Dutch absolutely dismantled them. And now this Sweden team hasn't been, in the best form, but they did put five on Tunisia. And for the Netherlands to respond and make Sweden basically look like Tunisia was crazy. I mean, this performance was dominant from front to end, you know, all the way from the first goal all the way to the end with Somerville putting the dagger. Although, I mean, the dagger was already there. But yeah, man, great performance from the Dutch. Shout out to the Netherlands. And yeah, I think, when I watch this, I'm like, it's like something starting to tick in my brain. I'm like, bro, since when was Cody Gakpo moving like this, bro? Since when was Brian Brobby moving like this? I mean, like, Brobby's got a good few goals for Sunderland, nothing crazy though. Gakpo, I mean, has been not the same since he's been at Liverpool, it feels like. But hey, man, Gakpo in the last World Cup absolutely popped off, and now he's popping off again in this World Cup. He might just be a World Cup kind of guy. And hey, what better stage to do so? I mean, my goodness, man. He was absolutely electric tonight. Have that Sweden back line in absolute disarray. And yeah, powers the Dutch to a fine win and a huge, goal differential. As far as being in the top of Group F. I believe this is Group F. Yeah, as far as being on top of Group F, and Japan later, with Japan to play Tunisia later on today, we'll see if Japan can basically run up the score. Tunisia are playing for their lives here, so that'll be an interesting game to watch. We'll see how that goes. I think Japan should win that, but we'll see what happens because, again, this is football. Anything can happen. And my major takeaway from this is, maybe I was underestimating the Dutch, because you look at this Netherlands team, and if this attacking line is playing like this, specifically Cody Gakpo, I think you're talking about maybe one of the best balanced teams in the tournament. Like, obviously, in the back, they're very great, right? Van Dijk, Van Hecke, Dumfries, Van de Ven, but also Verbruggen's very solid. And then midfield, they're good too, right? Reinders, De Jong, Gravenberch. Like, this back eight is very good. A lot of teams would kill to have this. But up front, I always felt that's where they were lacking because, the Dutch didn't have an A plus attacker. I was talking with a friend and I was like, who was the last, table one Dutch attacker? With all due respect to Depay, it's not 2019 anymore. And on top of that, even before Depay, you would have to go back to, the days of Van Persie and Robin, right? Like, you'd have to go back to those days, back when they're in their prime, So you're talking 10 years ago plus that the Dutch haven't had a A-list attacker. Now, I don't know if Cody Gak was that guy. I probably would go out to say he is definitely not an A-list attacker, a table one attacker. However, if he's playing like this, and he can get you, especially in this format, right? It's one game, you know what I mean? One game. If you can last, 90 minutes or really 120 minutes in the knockouts and get some penalties against, this kind of defense and goalkeeper, that might be enough for the Netherlands, right? So I think this might be a team to watch out for. Like, I don't think they're gonna win. I never have the Netherlands as a contender to win because for so long we've thought of the Netherlands, at least I've thought of the Netherlands as, you know, always the bridesmaid, never the bride, right? They're always good enough to be around, but they're never gonna be there. They're never gonna be the winner, right? And it's unfortunate for them. They've lost so many finals in their history as far as the World Cup goes. But I mean, this Netherlands team could make something shake, man. I don't know. I still don't think it's like a final, but they could go a little further than we might have expected them. Maybe it's a semifinal. You know what I mean? They were in the Euro semifinal in 2024, lost to a last minute winner, I think, from Ollie Watkins. It was to England. So, this team's good, man. This team's good. And when you think about the people they have out injured, could you imagine if Xavi Simmons was able to be on this team on the right hand side instead of Daniel Malen? This team could be so scary in the future, man. So scary. And shout out to Somerville as well. Coming off the bench, the best way I can put it for having Somerville as an option off the bench is like a diet, PSG with Barcola, right? You have a really solid attacker off the bench that can come in and really give tired legs a run. And yeah, man, incredible, incredible performance from him as well. His stock has gone up massively. So he's definitely moving away from West Ham this summer. I can definitely guarantee you that. But yeah, shout out to the Dutch. They came in swinging and they sent out a warning shot to everyone else in the competition. They are not here to play around. We'll see what happens because they also still couldn't beat Japan, and Japan is also a great team, by the way. Let me not, disrespect the Japanese, but hey, if you're moving like this, you're picking up form at the right time. Anything can happen. Anything. But yeah, shout out to the Dutch. Now, let's get to this main event right here because we can talk about this game a little bit, but we'll save that for the end. We'll save that for the end. Simone Adingra, you are not getting on the plane back to training camp, bro. That I do not want to see Simone Adingra for the rest of the tournament, bro. I mean, single-handedly, this is worse than Barca fans and Dembele in that Liverpool, debacle. Like this is worse than what Dembele did versus Liverpool. This is almost as bad as Sterling versus Lyon back in the Champions League. Like what an absolute missed opportunity for Cote d'Ivoire to probably get the 3 points there. I mean, my goodness, my goodness. I think I have a tweet here. Let me put it up, gang, because this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, look at all this space. Oh my days. Oh my days. I'd be livid. I'd be livid if I'm an Ivorian right now. I'm livid. I'm livid for you, bro. I'm angry. Look at this. Look at this. The way he's tell me as I watch it, I am still utterly shocked that this is not being taken as a shot. I mean, look at how he runs onto this. He's ready. His body's ready to take the shot. So what goes up here? Like what does he see? Does he see anything? He's only got Kimmich and the keeper to beat at best. If Kimmich is even in the way, oh my days. And then he stops right here. He makes a decision to and I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it, man. Oh my gosh. And Nicola Pepe made a fantastic, fantastic run and dribble to get to this position and makes this amazing pass. You've beaten everybody. They're all behind you except Kimmich and Neuer. At the very least, take the shot. If you don't score, that's a different thing. But that at least you took the shot. But no. I don't even want to play the rest. To take a touch. Takes a touch. He takes a touch. He takes a touch. What? What are we doing, man? Oh my days. Oh. Get him out, bro. Get him out. Get him out. What was he thinking? What was he thinking? I don't know, man. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. My goodness. How awful. How awful. All right. Now that that's done, um, we can talk about this. Because the Germany and Ivory Coast, this was for me the main event, the two best teams playing today. And Ivory Coast, they came out going head to head. And honestly, the entire game, they're going head to head, punch for punch with Germany, man. Standing in the ring with them, bro. This was incredible. I think to see Ivory Coast at this level, shout out to Ivory Coast, man, because they definitely gave Germany a game and they definitely deserved the 3 points if they just took their chances. If Adingra takes his chance. And that's unfortunate for them, the way they lost. But in this first half, man, they obviously deserved lead. Yan Diomande, by the way, incredible, incredible. First 30 minutes, I guess. Really, he was really incredible for the goal. I don't think he did much else outside of that, but that's all you need sometimes, a moment of brilliance. And once they went up, they go into the half 1-0 up. I'm thinking Ivory Coast can definitely see something out here. But I think at one point in the game, Ivory Coast just starts to sit back. They start sitting back and sitting back, and they're giving Germany more possession, allowing Germany to be the protagonist in the game. And I don't like that, especially for the talent that Ivory Coast have. I mean, look, you can just look at the names, but also look at the profiles. I mean, Singo is incredibly rapid, an all-around fullback, can do whatever you ask of him. Kessié, massively experienced, obviously Serie A champion and La Liga champion with Barcelona and AC Milan. Sangare, experienced Prem midfielder, been at Nottingham Forest for a few seasons now. Been with I think it was Ajax or PSV in the Dutch league. And then this man right here, number 26, Christ Inal Ulai. Hopefully, I'm getting that correct. He had a magnificent game. Lots of dribbles, carries, tough, moves outside of tough situations. He was finding solutions to very, very tough spots and really was in integral to having this Ivory Coast move up and down the pitch when they needed to. Up front, I think that you obviously can see by these scores, but they probably could have done with more from Bani and from Amad Diallo. But man, Ivory Coast were there, and I think the decision to sit back by their manager, to sit back by Emersefe and just really let Germany into the game more and more. I did not like. I think if they kind of went for it and were a little bit braver, they probably would have gotten another goal. Now, hey, who knows? Maybe they would have conceded as well. But I think that's one thing I'd like to see the Ivory Coast do is be more brave in positions of, having a lead, right? You have the lead, they're chasing the game. Go and be brave because they're chasing the game. There will be spaces for you. Now, on Germany's end, it took them a while to find it, but they did get it in the end. But yeah, man, it's definitely not a convincing German performance. I did not particularly like Musiala or Sané's performance much. I mean, Havertz was a little rough for him too. He had a few good chances that he missed, unfortunately for him. And yeah, I think that this German performance kind of shows you that Germany are not quite, there with the contenders. Now, Ivory Coast is a great opponent, great opposition. But I think if you're, one of the top teams, and it's funny to say because, like, if you look at France, France just lost to this Ivory Coast team. But a friendly is different than a tournament, right? The stakes are higher in a tournament. The players will run harder, all that stuff. So, shout out to that result. But you have to forget about it right now because I think if you're talking about in the World Cup, you'd imagine if France and England and Spain and Argentina would go out and get a result versus Ivory Coast. Now, this is not to discount Ivory Coast. Again, great performance. And this team proved they could hang with the bigger teams. But now, for Germany, you're feeling a little bit dejected, I think. I think a lot of Germans had, hopes, thinking this would be sort of a revival, tournament, a rival cup, if you will, where they're finally ascend back to, one of the top team status. But I don't think so. I just don't think so. I don't know if, the profiles they have. Like I look at Wirtz and as solid as he was today, he was finding some really good passes and some really good movement in the final third. I think that you need a different kind of profile out there rather than Wirtz. And him, Musiala, Wirtz, Musiala, and Havertz work really well together in the way that they rotate. But I think you can find if you can find something, more. I don't want to say more traditional, but more conventional. You know what I mean? Like you look at Barclay with France or, someone like that, right? And also I think if you can get an upgrade on the right hand side in Sane's position, then that will take you to the next level. I mean, I look at the rest of the team for Germany. It's not terrible. Like Pavlovich is great. Mecha is also really solid. Schlotterbeck has been solid for quite a while now. Ta, right, and then you have Rudiger off the bench, obviously to support. But outside of that, it's like there's a few upgrades where if they can find that, in their developmental pool, then that'll really take them to the next level. But yeah, I think you talk about this game, and it's a great two goals from Dennis Undov. I mean, especially that last goal, very very well taken. I gotta say, let me show you. I think this is Kessier offside here, or holding Dennis Undov onside. I don't know who this is holding him here, but this is terrible positioning. Terrible positioning. And obviously that comes off the back of coming back from such a great opportunity that Adingra missed. But yeah, I this is, very bad mistake from Ivory Coast. But well taken. I mean, he's on the back foot, easy half turn and shoot. So we have to give credit where credit is due. Dennis Undorf takes those goals brilliantly. However, I don't know if Germany was the better team today. I think, especially in that first half where these teams really went band for band, really went head to head, Ivory Coast came out on top. And, Germany had a few opportunities in the first half they didn't take. But, man, Ivory Coast, all I can think about is Ivory Coast deserves to come out with more than what they had today. And it's sad. It's sad, man. It makes me sad, and I'm not even Ivorian. But shout out to Germany. Now you look at the table, and we're also going to talk about the Ecuador Curacao result after this. But specifically for Germany, they're qualified for first place because the first tiebreaker is head to head. It is not goal differential. So even if you had a worse goal differential than Ivory Coast and you had ended up tied on points with them, you still would go through because you beat them head to head. So you'd go through as first. So with that new rule change, Germany are locked in first place, and their position will be locked for the next round in the knockouts in the round of 32. Okay, let's talk about Ecuador and Curacao. The only thing, the only thing I can say, and I'm laughing at it because this is in Spanish, is Ecuador hay una problema. Tenemos una problema. We have a problem. All right, there's a problem. We have a problem. My gosh. My gosh. Well, first off, just looking at the scoreline, and you think to yourself, Germany put 7 up on Curacao, and Ecuador couldn't put up 1. Shows you football is not always linear. But, man, Ecuador really needed the points, man. They really needed the points, I feel. And they get a draw, they get 1 point, and we can talk about the game really quickly. Lots of missed opportunities from Ecuador. Lots of shots. I mean, let's look at the stats here. 27 shots, 3 XG, and you left with 0. You left with 0 XG. I mean, with 0 goals. Sorry, off of 3 XG. Man, oh man, 5 big chances missed. I mean, there was this Pacho header. This Pacho header was crazy, by the way. This save by the Curacao keeper. Let me get his name. Room. Yeah, surely man of the game, man of the match. Man, I'm a little off right now. Surely man of the match. But yeah, Ecuador are going to be kicking themselves for not leaving with 3 points today because wow, some of these opportunities that just did not go for them that got saved, it was incredible. It was, and you could argue Curacao maybe could have got away with one. They had a few opportunities late in the game where they just didn't do enough with it. This was a great save by Galindez for the Ecuadorian keeper. And yeah, I just, man, if I'm Ecuadorian, I'm upset because they deserve to leave with 3 points. But Eloy Room says no, not today. And now we're looking at a very interesting table because Curacao are not eliminated. Now they're tied on head to head. And yes, they have awful goal differential, But you look at their next games, and it's interesting because, well, Germany have nothing to play for, and Ivory Coast also have nothing to play for unless Ecuador somehow beats Germany. So it's weird. Like for Ivory Coast, we might actually want to play to get the win just to be safe, but you're going to be stuck in second place at best. Now, Germany, you're saying, okay, well, Germany are guaranteed first place. Maybe they won't try. But if they put out a B team, they rotate. Here's the thing. I think A, those players are going to be hungry to try and get some minutes at this World Cup and try and break into the starting lineup. But then B, like the history of Germany is not to, show any mercy. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but when Germany goes up against teams, I recall last World Cup, they were up, I think, against Costa Rica and just absolutely battered Costa Rica, even though they were already eliminated. Right? Germany had nothing to play for, but they said, "Nah, we're gonna kill Costa Rica." So I don't know. I don't think it's in the German mentality to just throw away this game. We'll see what happens. It's a little scary for Ecuador right now, though, because let's say Germany does decide to throw the game. You still have to be able to score. This team has yet to score a goal. 0 goals versus Ivory Coast, and now 0 goals versus Curacao. And I was saying it in my predictions video. The one thing holding Ecuador back, I mean, you look at this lineup, they're great at the back in Capier, Pacho. But outside of that, up front, you need to be able to score goals. You need to be able to put the ball in the back of the net. And shout out Ener Valencia for all of his contributions to Ecuadorian football. But right now, it is not good enough. It is not good enough. So they got to find a way to score. We're looking at guys like Estupinian, Jabo Zamora, uh, Gonzalo Plata. These guys have to step up and put the ball in the back of the net if Ecuador want to get anything out of this World Cup. If they want to salvage this World Cup, that's what they're going to have to do. Because I don't think Germany is just going to throw away that next game. I really don't. It's tough, man. And on top of that, Ecuador really need the 3 points. Think about it. The best third place teams are going to probably have at least 3 points. Ecuador only have 1 point right now. And you cannot just bet, you cannot gamble at all on having 2 points and maybe you'll qualify. Now, if you have 4 points, I'm sure you'll qualify for the round of 32. So it's going to be hugely important for Ecuador to get this win against Germany. I don't know how they're going to do it because, again, these guys do not want to put the ball in the back of the net right now. But if they can get it together, get up the, like, I don't know really the fix for it. I really don't. I'm trying to be optimistic, but man, I just don't know. Ecuador, tenemos una problema. I hope, I really hope you guys can get it figured out. You know what I'm saying? Get it together because otherwise, this is looking scary. Scary. All right. Now we've gone over through all of these games. I just want to check one more time the current knockout stage as it stands, and there's a bunch of projections and whatnot. But as it stands right now, the U.S. versus Ecuador for the round of 32. That is if Ecuador make it there, by the way. But that would be incredible. But I don't know if Ecuador is winning that with their current form. I mean, look at the U.S. right now. I'm telling you, I feel very confident in this U.S. team. And if you can get past Ecuador, and again, if you get New Zealand and the Czech Republic, this U.S. team quarterfinals bound. I have no doubts. Germany looking like Scotland in the round of 32. Scotland are pretty much probably going to finish third in their group. Depends if they beat Brazil though. I doubt it, but it would be something incredible, right? Germany guaranteed first, so they will be here. They will be here. And then Norway and Japan, that would be a very fun round of 32 matchup. Netherlands, Morocco. Wow, I can't believe I skipped that. Now, these are not set in stone, so I don't want to get too hype over these, but these are some very solid matchups. I mean, we see England, Portugal. So that's going to be incredible. Mexico, Spain as well. But this is what I want to see right here. because this is very likely to happen. France is likely to finish first in their group, and Ivory Coast is very likely to finish second in their group. And because of that, now you're talking about Ivory Coast facing France. And what I say earlier, yeah, Ivory Coast had that amazing result against France where they beat them in a friendly. This is the World Cup knockout stages. The whole vibe is different. It's different. And unfortunately, also with that, in that friendly, they had Ivorian supporters. You know, people could travel from the Ivory Coast to France and support their team in that friendly. They cannot do that in this World Cup. Very unfortunate and very embarrassing from the US to and FIFA to allow that to happen, by the way. I stay very, very, solid on that stance. But man, that Adingra miss is going to absolutely haunt them if they end up getting knocked out by France in the round of 32. Because realistically, Ivory Coast should not be there. They should be up here versus Scotland. So Scotland and France, two different worlds. You're talking about, and not only that, you're talking about who else you'd meet, right? So now you're talking about even if you were to get past France, you might get a Brazil, right? And then if you get past that, everything's going to be hard afterwards. But if you're in Germany's spot, now you're talking about, okay, you can beat Scotland, and then you might get a Norway or a Japan, which is a lot more feasible, right, than a Brazil. And that's not to say Brazil have been great, but you get what I'm saying? Like, it changes everything. It changes everything. So that's that, man. Thank you guys so much again for watching. Hopefully this was really fun for you, as fun as it was for me. Don't forget to follow, like, subscribe. You know the deal. Until next time, thank you guys yet again for watching. It's been your boy, Ollie Fuddy. We out.